As we get to hang with Nanny Bubby in studio here on the club.
Yeah, it's a double shot of Wellness Wednesday. We're already happy and on a high, riding it from the Vegas Golden Knights World Championship, Stanley Cup Championship last night. And now, Marla Letizia, founder of Long Life Era Community Facebook group, is in studio to help us reframe our own Long Life Era from a crisis into a calling. We do it every Wednesday. We call it It's Never Too Late, and we welcome Nanny Bubby to the studio this
It's
morning.
always much more fun just to call her Nanny Bubby.
Nanny Bubby is fun
Yeah.
sounding, right?
Everybody calls me Nanny Bubby. I love that. And yet, it's just my name my grandkids call me. Can you imagine how fun that is?
Yeah, it's cool.
Do you call them members on your Long Life Era Community Facebook group?
Yeah.
They're called members?
Yeah. I would say members of the group, right?
It's really starting to catch on.
It's
only been about a month.
Well,
since
maybe,
this has
yeah,
been up?
5 weeks, I think,
5
if I
weeks?
was being
Okay.
real about it. Yeah, 5 weeks.
And tell us, if there is, I know you have a mission statement toward it. What exactly are you trying to achieve with the Long Life Era Community Facebook group?
Okay, so sort of backtracking for, what we've discussed before, is the term, if you will, senior citizen, seems like an end stop, a backdrop. It's like, oh, here you are. Bye.
End of the road.
End of the road. Hope it lasts or not, whatever. But the truth is that there are 73 million baby boomers still in the United States of America who are still working, who are still living, who are still creating, who work out, have tons of energy. And when you move into your long life era, which, could be 55 and above or 60 and above, 65 and above, there is still so much life left to live. It could be 30 years that you're still here. And as you and I spoke, how much did you learn between the ages of 10 and 40?
Yeah, well, a real world example, and a local one at that, is, and it's certainly topical, Bill Foley. Who's already had a couple of great careers.
Yes.
Right? With all of his businesses, thriving businesses. At 72 years old, he decided, I want to own an NHL team.
Yes.
I want to join the big leagues.
Yes.
And he said, I want a cup in 6. I'm 72. I can't draw this out for 25 years like some ownership groups.
I love where you're going with this.
And here, and he said a cup in 6. It seemed absurd. It seemed far-fetched. It was certainly ambitious. He did do it. Of course, he's 78 now. That's the math of it. And I couldn't be more excited about the concept of thinking that he decided to start that. I don't know how long it was in his head to get an NHL franchise, but that's not something that you just make a phone call to the commissioner and say, hey,
I'm in.
I got $500 million, can I get in? There was so many steps that had to be done. He'd already had his billions. He'd already made a nice living and a nice life for himself, but decided he wanted to chase down a passion, and he's done it. And we all couldn't be any more happy or excited, and for my part, inspired. By him
Inspired, exactly. And I also would point you towards Colonel Sanders, who actually started Kentucky Fried Chicken at the age of 72 years old.
Yeah,
and
he
back
got
at the
turned down by I don't know how many different people. He was sleeping in his car.
Yes.
And or Grandma Moses. I mean, there are so many examples of folks that are out there that have never taken no for an answer.
Yes,
and continue.
And at 72 years old, that was really old back in the early 60s when he started. It's not so old today because we have, it's just not. And also Ray Kroc. Ray Kroc was a loser of losers, and he was in his 50s when he bought the McDonald's.
He founded McDonald's,
yes, exactly. And so I think that builds right into part of the post that we put up in Long Life Era just the other day. A very old classmate of mine, and I mean old because we go back so far into junior high, is actually an MD. She was the valedictorian of our class, and she posted an article in Long Life Era about positive words and positive thoughts that help to keep you alive, living, happy, and joyful. And some of those words, just to bring them up, are just memorizing words and using them throughout your day, like joy, love, and laughter were like the top 3. Everybody posted about some combination of that. Did you see any that you really liked?
Well, the laughter, that's the first one that popped into my mind because Mrs. Andy always used to say that no matter what, I can make her laugh. And for me, that was the greatest joy.
There you go, laughter and joy all in the same sentence.
Yeah, and I think what it is, and the other thing I sort of roll that into for me internally is it's those words that you should use in how you talk to yourself. because a lot of times our internal conversations are so negative because of the foundations we have as kids that when you talk to yourself internally, those are the same words you need to use that you use externally.
Exactly. So there's those little holes of trauma that we grew up with as kids, and sometimes those little holes take over the dominant language in your mind. And I would say that I would never speak to somebody else the way I sometimes speak to myself within my own head, right?
Yeah.
Like, can you relate to that?
Is that when you're coming down on yourself? When you're like giving yourself
the internal dialogue that you have with yourself, I mean, the internal dialogue I have with myself sometimes is brutal.
Yeah.
And you just sort of, and you have to snap yourself out of it, because if you let the spiral go, you're going to have a horrible day.
Right, which is the point of the article. I just wanted to pull it up really quick, which I'm having trouble doing. But the point of the article was that there were 5 things that actually, helped to change that internal dialogue, which was memorizing of the positive words, writing down the most positive events in your life, and I would add, and being grateful for those positive events, right?
100%.
Birth of children, whatever it is. Golden Knights winning. I mean, that is just a big communal positive event in all of our lives.
I think being thankful for stuff is cheesy, or it's what's another word that escapes me. But the idea of living with gratitude and being thankful for what you have, and accepting what's being given to you gracefully, it makes your life so much brighter and happier.
Yeah, and I think what you're talking about here is it's part of reprogramming your mind and the way that you think here. I will celebrate the fact, and not celebrate, go crazy or anything, but by turning my car on. My car's fine. It's got 100,000 miles on it, but when I hear that ignition go on, I'm like, thank you. It's the smallest of thank yous, right?
Do you
It's
do
like,
that, really?
I
You're just
absolutely
so
do.
happy about it.
I get not elated. I'm not shocked that it turned on again today. It's
Yes.
it's a small, because it's about the smallest thing that's happening at the moment, and I need that to get to work, right?
Yes.
And I will say it. Thank you. I'm a God guy, so I don't mind throwing up a word of faith and just saying that. Thanks for letting that car.
I'm a God
car
guy.
get going.
I love that. I've never heard that stated in that way before. I'm a God guy. That's kind of cool.
It just keeps it, and again, when you boil it
Saying
down
it
to
that
the,
way,
to
that's
the
cool, Mark.
smallest, well, thank you. When you put it down to the smallest thing of, well, look, the car started. Hey, cool.
Right, and there's a statement too that says those that give gratitude will be given more, and those that don't, it will be taken away. So if you're getting in your car every morning and saying thank you for that car, starting
Yes.
up, you will be given more days of that car starting up.
Well,
So
good, because I want and need that.
But you're right. It's the toughest thing to do, though, because going negative is so much easier in the world we live in every day, and that's one of the reasons that when my weekends come, I'm not watching talking head TV or any of that stuff,
Right.
because I just don't want that a part of my life. So I just turn that stuff off and focus in on the stuff that I'm grateful for.
right, and circling back to Long Life Era that we're speaking to, and there's a big audience in this station, and I would actually offer up those that are listening to go to Long Life Era Community Facebook group and ask to become a member. We've got some amazing conversations happening in there. But I would say that when you reach into your Long Life Era, this is a time of creativity and reinvention. And if you were busy raising a family and you truly sacrificed a great deal of your own dreams in order to do what was right or to make other people happy in your life, this is the time to say, this is my time. Like, this isn't a dress rehearsal. This is the only life we're going to live, so to speak, or at least that what we would know about. I don't know, maybe I've been here 20 more times, but I don't know it. So, we've got to get out there and do it. And also, I want to say this. If you don't get over your angst about aging in your 30s, your 40s, and your 50s, and your 60s, you are not going to make it into your 70s. You've
Right.
got to find a place to center yourself around the aging process, because as I always say, nobody wants to die young, but nobody wants to get old.
Right.
So there is this vacuum in here that we need to talk about to encourage everybody to grow reverently and joyously with laughter and acceptance, self-acceptance, which I was in denial of for at least the last 3 years myself, that we are where we are, and it's great, and we are the only ones that can make it that way.
You've heard the saying, there's no substitute for experience.
Right.
That is, to me, that I read that as something to celebrate. in that you get knocked around just by virtue of being a human being. You're going to get knocked down. And the more you do over decades, it sounds terrible, but the more you get up and you can continue to get up, the easier it is to deal with challenges. I had a hell of a challenge last night trying to get the Golden Knights game to stream through my TV. Something was
I was with you.
wrong with the app. Okay?
Yeah.
I kept doing. I was relentless. I was a dog with a bone. I tried 2 hours before face-off. Ultimately, I had to punt, and it wasn't that I couldn't figure it out. It was just not working.
Mm-hmm.
I never lost my mind about. I'm not that that's the solution, but a younger version of me would have been raising the temperature in
Yes.
the room.
And the blood pressure.
The volume of my language would have been blue, and I was just kind of like, okay, what am I overlooking? And ultimately, I failed, but I just moved on. We found a different alternative, which probably worked out to
Are
be
you a
better option
meditator?
anyway.
Do you meditate?
No, not like I should.
Well, it sounds like you do.
Well,
Sounds
yeah.
like you do.
Yeah,
But I'm going to quote a great coach, right? Because this is, around sports today. What did Jerry Tarkanian always say about his teams?
I don't know. He was too busy biting the towel for me. I didn't very much.
He learned more, and the team learned more from their losses than they ever learned from their wins. And quite honestly, as we reach into our long life era, here we are. We have had an opportunity of growing those mistakes into wisdom. And wisdom cannot be taught, but it can be shared, which I did last night with my granddaughter, believe it or not. She tried out for gymnastics and didn't make the team she wanted to, and we had a really long conversation about that. And let me tell you, I am this morning inspired and elevated that I was able to impact an 8-year-old little mind into faith and into what did you learn from this, and do you really want to do gymnastics or would you rather dance? No, I love gymnastics. Then baby, you got to go for it. Right? Nothing comes easy that's worth having.
Exactly, commitment. And we'll leave it on that note. That's a great positive thought. For folks that want to check out and join the community, how do they do that?
Go to Facebook, search Long Life Era Community, ask to be a member, and we'll let you in. Most of our members has come off of this radio show, and I really love it. I want to say one more thing. I want to invite the two of you to come and cook live with Nanny Bubby one of the days during the week, and let's do an interview where I get to interview the two of you. How about that?
I'll eat live. I'm still trying to learn how to be a cook, so I'll eat live.
Well,
Let's do
we'll
that.
make it fun. I'll say, here, put this ingredient in, and you'll pour it in, while at the same time we're switching cameras and having a discussion.
I'm good if it involves a microwave and putting okay. Well,
We're going to move you off a microwave.
coming up. Thanks.
Thank you for
Nanny
having
Bubby,
me.
have a great week.
Thank you.
Thank you.